Good morning, everyone. So, as you can see from the title, right, following the SVB collapse, the US government steps in with, of course, the taxpayer money and says everyone who deposited with SVP will have access to all of their entire funds, right? So, nobody's gonna learn any lesson, right? It doesn't matter if you deposit uh, your cash with the riskiest bank, right? It doesn't matter. You are you're just gonna be protected by the government with the taxpayers' money. No moral hazard whatsoever, right? This is the world we live in right now. This is not free market capitalism. In free market capitalism, if you make bad decisions, you get to pay for your mistakes, right? And you fail. And next time you're gonna be a lot more careful and responsible. But right, regulators approved plans to backstop both depositors. Let me actually increase this a bit. Depositors and financial institutions associated with Silicon Valley Bank. And what do you know about Silicon Valley Bank? Like most of their funds were like startups, basically rich people, right? Rich people with a lot of money, and they're gonna be protected by the poor and middle class, right? Socialism is so nice, right? For the rich, you capitalize the profits. I'm sorry, poor people, you don't have you didn't buy our stock, you know. I'm sorry, you don't get to have a share of the profits. But if we happen to be in a bankruptcy situation, well, you're gonna pay the bill because that's how crony capitalism works, right? It's extremely fair. Right, so also Signature Bank failed during the weekend. And the officials are ensuring that depositors will have full access to their funds on Monday. Federal Reserve stepped in with a separate facility, another MILF acronym that will provide loans up to 1 year for institutions affected by bank failures. And I think I saw something, I don't have it pulled out right now, but a lot of crypto exchanges had funds deposited at SVB and Signature Bank. So the Fed is gonna step in, make a little bit of QE. It's interesting times, right? So the official policy of the Fed is quantitative tightening. So they're selling assets off of their balance sheet. But if there's a blip here and there, they're gonna intervene and do a little bit of QE because that's how central banking works, right? So today they are taking decisive action to protect the US economy by strengthening public confidence because it's a confidence game, right? I.e., a con game. It's a con. This system, the banking system, is a con, right? They are con men. That's all they are. Leading regulators said blah blah. Right. So I'm curious to today. I mean, it's probably early morning or late night in the US of A. Let's see. Yeah, it's like 3 a.m., right? So call it today because you're gonna see this in the morning. We're gonna have the CPI report, right? So I'm curious. Uh, I hope the CPI comes hotter than expected because I just want I just want the economy to fucking crash, right? It just somebody has to pay the bill. And if the taxpayer continues to pay the bill, I hope we get very high inflation or hyperinflation because that is the only way the taxpayer will learn his lesson. Which is the lesson? Small government, less central planning, or fewer central planning, uh, less whatever, less government spending, less regulation, less central banking, right? How about we go back to a little bit of free market capitalism, and with just a tingle, just a tingle of government intervention if actual abuses happen, because free mar- true free market capitalism would probably work if everyone would have a very high moral standard. But as we know, there are a few people that like to abuse, you know. So yeah, but the government should just oversee, but not dictate how the economy should go. Just oversee that everything, is going fairly, and there are no exploits or something like that, you know. But they should not dictate, oh, interest rates should be 3%. Oh no, it should be 7%. Oh no, it should be 0%. Oh, we should do a little bit of QE. No, no. Let the market set interest rates. Let the market make risk assessments with, for example, if I want to deposit my ideally gold and silver into a bank and get some certificates, right? I should do my due diligence with a bank, right? Is this bank risky? How is the management, right? Everyone would be a lot more responsible. So again, I hope the CPI is hotter than expected, because that means the Fed is stuck between how is the expression? I don't know, between a hammer and a hard place, something like that. Whatever, between two rocks. Let's say it. New expression. It's in a corner. They painted themselves into a corner, right? So if inflation is higher, they cannot lower interest rates. But the free market is kind of predicting uh, lower interest rates, right? Why? Well, let's look at bonds. Let's look at bonds. Like, have you seen this drop in yields? Let's go over the last 5 days, right? So the 10-year was at 4%, and a few days later it dropped 50 basis points. But let's search the US 2-year yield, right? If we can actually find it. Okay. Because it dropped the most it ever dropped in history, percentage-wise, right? Now look at this. What was this? Wednesday? It was at 5%, and now we are at 4%, under 4%, right? So this is unheard of, right? Percentage-wise, right? If you go from 5% to 4% in percent terms, it's hard to explain, right? That's what, a 20% drop, right? It's a nominal 1%, right? From 5 to 4, but percentage-wise, it's a 20% drop in just a few days. This is absolutely insane. So the market is kind of predicting the Fed is going to pivot. But the problem with a Fed pivot is probably that the dollar is going to tank a bit, right? Because inflation is still high. So I'm curious. I'm curious what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting week, at least, right? Anyway, free market capitalism. I hope we're going to get there at some point. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. See you next time.